Welcome to the Turning Lemons into Lemonade podcast. Each week, your host, Amy Mewborn, business strategist and advisor, will bring you the stories of how successful women entrepreneurs turn their tragedies into triumphs to create the businesses that are changing the world today. And now, your host, Amy Mewborn.
Emily is an American Sign Language interpreter and a successful entrepreneur. She helps women look at their situations as an opportunity to advance their personal and professional development. When her husband was hit with cancer, she was completely unprepared. Months later, she was presented with the opportunity to open a virtual business. Broke and exhausted, she silenced her fear and took a leap of faith. Emily candidly shares her story of how she became the CEO of her own company while juggling a full-time job, a chemotherapy schedule, and potty training. Emily is a single mom of two, raising her children in Redwood City, California. Welcome, Emily. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to have us start today by having you tell our listeners how you got started in your business.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. First of all, this is super exciting. Listened to a lot of your other podcasts, so in great company and very honored. So as a business owner, I will say, admittedly, I'm a pretty, in my own mind, very unlikely business owner. Is much more geared toward like social services, and always had told myself I wasn't good with numbers and money and that kind of stuff. And just a little bit of background leading up, I'm an American Sign Language interpreter by trade. That's what my degree is in. That's what my professional life has been for the past 17 years. And I decided to specialize in medical interpreting. And so was with two major hospitals in the Bay Area and helped develop their programs, and really loved my work, love that work still, was really living the ideal job. I had created it. And I'm also a mom. So I have a son who's now 8 and my daughter is 6. And if I kind of rewind time to 2013, they were 2 and 6, 7 months old. And I'm working at the hospital. Things are good. Their dad had just finished grad school, and he had this cough. And my daughter was, again, 6, 7 months. She kept having these like urinary tract infections, and we couldn't figure out what that was about. My son had these weird like spots on him and stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? And so lo and behold, we had a mold inspector come out to the house, and we're living in, what I felt like was my dream rental. Right. And we just get nailed with, you have an overgrown growth of this scary kind of mold in our house. And about 2 days later, he's again running a low grade fever. And, like his mom almost, I drag him to the doctor and I say, he's a school teacher. He just finished grad school, burning the candle at both ends. Maybe he's got pneumonia or, mono or something. I have no idea. Let's get a blood panel. And the doctor's like, oh, Mrs. Borja, you're kind of, that's a little over the top. It's cold and flu season. And I'm like, working in a hospital, I know you got to push for what you want. Right? So I said, just humor me and do it. And within 48 hours, he was in the hospital, barely conscious, and we then later received the diagnosis of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He was 37 at the time, largely a pediatric cancer. From working at a pediatric hospital, I knew a lot about that disease and was admittedly terrified. And when they really started to roll out the treatment, if I look back on it now, I remember thinking, OMG, he just finished grad school. I was already kind of the breadwinner. We were living paycheck to paycheck in the Bay Area already. And the treatment was 3 to 4 years long. And he'd be in the hospital for a week out of every month for a certain amount of time. So it was like single momhood. P.S., there's a huge chance that he won't make it. And I'm crunching numbers in my bank account like, we're dead in the water in about 2 months. Like, what am I going to do? And a couple months, working at a hospital, I'm lucky, right? Meaning that it never closes. So I could take extra shifts and I could, work extra. And we had family and community support, and we just wanted for nothing. but it wasn't letting me honor my for better or for worse. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to take care of him. And I needed to be there for my children as well. And every time I took an extra shift, if my family couldn't help, I had to pay someone to come in and watch the kids. And that felt it was just a nightmare, right? Like, so my phone rings months later into treatment, right? And, we ended up having to move out of this house, and we're staying in a hotel for a while, and then we find a place, and it was just like this, the universe must hate me right now. Like, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. I'll fix it. And my phone rings. And in, 2013 at that time, like, we all text. Like, I never answer the phone. I'm that girl who keeps her voicemail full so I don't have to check messages. So like gives me anxiety or something. And so anyway, it ends up being this girl that I knew from high school who, is a successful ICU nurse. And she basically said, listen, I got your number. I see what's going on social media with your family. I'm in healthcare. You're either going to, I think she said, like, you're either going to want to hug me or punch me, but I want you to hear about what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then when she started to launch off about a business, like, I just got super judgmental. My eyes rolled and I was like, have you seen my resume? Like, what do you want me to sell? Like your, sponges or like, some scented something. And then I'm like, well, I have about $11 in my bank account right now. So maybe I should put my ego aside and listen. And I knew that she was, she has a 6-figure income as a specialty nurse. I get what they make. So and I was like, people are being so nice to me right now and so generous that I can hear her out. I got to figure out a way to say no, right. But I'm going to listen and be polite. And by the end of it, she had said a couple things that made me go, wow, you know what? I don't know. I will hear more. And that's how it started. And 5 years later, here we are with a 6-figure income from a business I wasn't looking for and wanted nothing to do with, but always knew in the back of my mind I could do something, just didn't. I was looking for permission or something. Yeah. Cancer gave me a great permission, but I know now where I am in my journey, I didn't need permission ever, Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to kind of confront the elephant in the room. I know that you do network marketing.
Yes.
And that is the business that you launched, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So network marketing has one of these things where people either get it or they don't. And unfortunately, I think a few bad eggs, make it look really weird for the people that really do love their products. And, I posted something on Facebook not too long ago. I was actually looking for a product that I knew was a multi-level marketing product. And a number of my girlfriends DM'd me and they're like, are you sure you want to put that out publicly? Because now all of a sudden, everyone is going to come after you for this, Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of us actually use those products. So tell us about the company that you're with. I know what company it is, and it is products that I use and love, by the way.
Love that.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
I will tell you that, oh boy, when I found it was direct, multi-level marketing. And then I was like, oh, well, direct sales sounds better. And immediately I was like, I don't ever want to go to those things. And like, do I have to like schlep some stuff to someone's house for a party? And like, oh my God, people are going to think I've lost my mind. I literally lost my mind. So yes, I felt the same way. Yeah. And ask me your question again. I just got so wrapped up in like, I was so afraid of network marketing.
So tell us what the company is, and then tell us a little bit about how you ended up there and mm-hmm. how you've built your business there.
So, it's a skincare company, right? Mm-hmm. We are, world-renowned doctors who had already had a $1 billion industry in Proactive, and we are Rodan and Fields. And so that was very, very, that really meant something to me. I was working for Stanford Hospital at the time, and the doctors are Stanford educated, so their name goes a long way there. And so when the girl, when I was talking to this woman and she said, the doctors behind Proactive, immediately I knew like, oh, if they're doing something different, they already did it. It's not an if, it's a when. Right. I also loved that. Well, what kind of tipped me over the edge was that I am the person who feels, oh, no, thank you networks, no, thank you pyramid scheme, no, thank you all of these kinds of things. And at the same time, I really realized that, wow, they had already been in high-end retail. They were in Nordstrom's. They partnered with Estee Lauder. They're using direct sales as a smart channel, but we're a dermatology company, and we are groundbreakers and innovators, and they are responsible for, for women who have second six-figure incomes and all of this stuff. And so how I got started was I said yes. This is kind of, I think it's funny now. I write about it in my book. I think it's funny now, but how horrifying is it that, I did not have a pot to pee in, let's say, and the investment, right? I didn't even have that. And it's fairly low, and I didn't have it. And so I took out, my credit had already just been obliterated from him being sick. And I took out a loan and had like 60 days to pay it back. And it was literally like, a shady underground, like on the corner somewhere type of thing. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was even doing this. And so anyway, I knew when I said yes, I'm like, all right, I got 60 days to turn this around. And so what I did was I reminded myself who I am, who people know me to be, that I had a ton of faith in the morality and efficacy and clinical knowledge of this company and the founders. And I went for it, and I was authentic, and I posted, and I always kept to me what scared me or what I was turned off about around direct sales and other opportunities who had come to me. I knew that I would never, ever do that. I set out to do it differently. And that was not groundbreaking. That's what this company does. We do it differently. And I think we are largely responsible for really changing the feelings around taking our lives back as moms and as women and as wives and as partners, and saying, wow, there is really a way to do this and to get these great products in people's hands, and to give other people to each one teach one and pay it forward and go, yeah, I am doing it, and be transparent about it.
I will tell you that I think is the number one thing that I love about seeing Rodan and Fields representatives on social media. They're very proud of their product. They're very proud of their company. And what I hate about the direct sales element is that a lot of times people are putting out there, hey, I lost so-and-so pounds. Direct message me if you want to know more. Just be upfront and say, hey, I'm using this amazing skincare and it's this, or I've lost all these pounds and I'm now repping this company. Because by the way, if we're genuinely looking at each other authentically, I will tell you that the lash boost with Rodan and Fields is by far, I think, one of the most groundbreaking products I've ever seen in my life. And I used to be the girl that before I showed up on camera anywhere, I had put my little lashes in and everything. And now I don't bother, I'm happy with what I've gotten myself. And this is not meant to like discuss a particular company, but I just love the fact that everyone at Rodan and Fields shows up with integrity. Yeah. They, do the RF Go Naked Day where there's nothing all on your face, and all these different things where I feel like the company's like, no, we're going to put our name out loud and proud. And if people want our products, great. And, I have always found that to be so full of integrity in an industry where a lot of times people are just so afraid to try something new because they're afraid that they're never going to not be able to buy it from their friend ever again, And so, yeah, I love that.
I love that. That's really cool. That's very cool.
So tell me about the worst day you've had in your business, because I know that taking out a loan and having a husband that was sick and having children, you've certainly had your struggles. So take us back to the worst day in your business and really talk us through it.
Yeah, it stands out so loud and clear. I think anytime in sales or a business, you have a lot of those, but there is, and I will tell you the worst day, the no good, horrible, terrible, very bad day, was the day that I launched my business officially, right? So there's all this talk about, you're going to launch your business, and it's not the typical party where you're handing out order forms to people. You're just saying like, come have a toast, get excited about this for me. I want you to know, and it's your network, right? And so I'll tell you that my sister is a nurse practitioner, and she a psych nurse practitioner, and she joined me in business, right? So the two of us kind of launched together within a couple of weeks. And so we were told, let's have a party. Let's get people together. Okay, great. Now, for my sisters and I, there's 4 of us girls. And when we do a party, we do it big, right? Like, our mom, God rest her soul, she was like, I'm pretty sure she's a party planner in heaven, like dialing out, Peter, go get the hors d'oeuvres, that kind of thing. And so my sister and I were like, are we going to need valet for this? Like, this is going to be legit, right? So we're inviting people, and we're doing our normal, we're so naive to how to market anything in any way, but we were both very successful in other careers. So it's a lot to kind of get your mindset around, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just opened a business around it. It's just insane. So we do this. We're making favors. Like we practically had like a chocolate fountain. We invited a ton of people, and we have good parties. People come to our parties, right? And I will tell you that we sat there like, Marsha Brady not getting invited to Molly Winter's party on the Brady Bunch, and like crickets. 3 people came. I literally thought I was going to die. 2 people who came, 3. One was our sponsor in the business, right? God love her. Shout out to Bernadette O. And then the woman who does my hair, who was my first customer, who's just so supportive and amazing. And then a girl that my sister knew who came and had some hors d'oeuvres and left, right? So the party ends. I don't even know what it was. And we just sat there, and I just started bawling. And it was this deep in my toes guttural cry around like, what have I done? Like, what am I doing? And then at the same time, it was like this really powerful release. I know that was the experience I was supposed to have, so that I could get my head around, this is a profession. You better learn it. You got to get in there. You got to listen to people. You are not the expert this time. When we get hired for a job, we think we are the expert. We beat everybody else. Yeah. This was different. I had to bring everything I knew into it. And I had to get real that like, I couldn't show, I didn't have valet, but like valet and a chocolate fountain and, matching sweatsuits that my sister and I are wearing. It wasn't about the show. It was about, who am I? What do I have to share with you? And will you take a look? And so that was the most horrifying day ever. And also that lit a fire under me that I could not have had that experience in any other way unless I crashed. I did not think I could go lower than where I was, but it was a hard day.
So now we know that you've been pretty successful in this business. So tell me, how did you grow from your initial launch being a complete failure in your eyes to now having a 6-figure business? Because a lot of women and a lot of moms really are looking to direct sales now, because it really does provide residual income. It provides the ability to be able to stay home with your family. So how did you make that transition from like flopping on your face to a 6-figure income?
I'll tell you that what I did was I was coachable, and I listened. And, I have a, in another life, I have a background in dance. And so anybody who plays sports or does anything like that, you get that mentor thing. I thrive in that way. And so I kind of had to realize like, wow, I think my ego got in the way. I don't know everything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to find a loophole or get there quicker than anybody else. Right. So I was coachable. And when I was told, watch this video and do X, Y, and Z, I did it. And I showed up, and I told myself, like, I became a student of the game, a student of the profession. And I reminded myself why I was doing it. And I looked at my children. I looked at him. I used social media in a way that I felt responsible about, and still do. And I shared things rather than jump down people's throat. I continued to have events, and eventually 5 people showed up, and then 12, and then, 15. And I really I did exactly what I was told to do. I went to women who I was impressed by, who I could relate to, who trusted me in other things. And I said, I think you should give this a roll with me. At the end of the day, it's skincare. Nobody is going to die, right? So let's be clear about that. The company makes it so fail-proof that it's not about having a big business is whether you fail or not. The failing part, I think, is when you don't allow yourself to say, hey, I love this, or I don't. And if you don't, let's return it and be friends, and you can still be my customer. So what I really did was I was coachable, 100% coachable, and I had to get control of the voice in my head, and I had to voice it when I would feel like, what are people going to say? And because I had all of them, that still comes into my head. What must someone be thinking? Are all the moms at the school going to run from the lotion lady? And so I just knew that I didn't want to be that. And this company attracts business owners who are of a caliber that is just unmatched. And whether it's the most amazing corporate figure who now stays at home with her children, or the savviest teacher, the lawyer, the healthcare professional, the writer, the artist, the dancer, these people, it wasn't just the girl who brought me into the business. Everyone walking the planet has skin. And so to take away the competition factor and get into learning, wow, it got fun really fast. And there's been more fun than not. So now having, they call it a downline of over, 600, I've got such big plans. Yeah. My first check, I remember, it was under $300, and I felt like, I am going to Red Robin. We are going to Costco. It's on. I was so excited I was in that place. And 60 days later, I was able in California to pay for daycare. And I was like, holy, this is onto something. And so I shared that, and I was passionate, and I apologized when I did verbal vomit and was too excited. Yeah. And that's how it happened,
Well, the thing that I always like to tell people that I know is I buy a lot of direct sales products because I would rather buy from my friends than buy from Target or whatever. And I said I use Rodan & Fields for my skin care. I use Arbonne for my skin, like my makeup, and all of those things. And I love the fact that I feel like I'm getting good products. And I also get to support people that I love in my life. And I'm buying from them instead of the local grocery store or whatever. And, I think that direct sales had gotten such a bad rap for so long that now people are really starting to show up in a very different way. And I think we're going to see direct sales really change a lot, because there's some amazing companies with amazing products that have chosen to take their business model straight to the public instead of paying for warehousing fees and shelf space at Target or, Neiman Marcus or all these different places. And I love that.
I could not agree with you more. I also now really get the individual business owner, and I'll go to the local toy store before I go to the big box. I will, like you said, I love candles. I will order them. I will support anyone doing anything, if it's a quality product, because in my bones, I know why they're doing it, right? And because people do it for me. So there is this very unique pay it forward mentality. And you really hit the nail on the head when you said companies are choosing. It's a choice, right? And used responsibly, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, there's a number of companies that started in large retail locations. I mean, I think Cabby, the clothing line, had started in, and I'm thinking it was Nordstrom, I may be wrong, but Rodan & Fields, they started in department stores. And I love the fact that one of their values is that they're trying to help other women build businesses, because these are two of the most powerful women in business right now. So
number 13 on the Forbes list, very exciting. And I'll tell you, their integrity, when we had all the fires in Sonoma in California, and they immediately wanted to know what consultants were in this mile radius and how can we help you still take care of your business costs, and what they do with, Build On, and how so many people in this business. I have a little side nonprofit that supports, women who are helping they're wearing both hats in the family, and it's so much bigger than skincare. And they're attracting people who get that. And it's exciting. It's inspiring. It makes you feel like, like me, like, oh my gosh, this opened the door. Like, okay, I'm going to write a book. Then I write it opens the door for you to just go for it.
So tell us about the book.
So the book is called About Face, right? So, and the double meaning there, obviously, about face, because my business is about my face, right? Power faces and the health of your face. But it's also that about face when you feel the monster on your back, whatever it is. And for me, I look forward to writing more because I have done many about faces. It's about turning around and facing it, not moving, around it or over it, getting through it. And so for me, the about face was, wow, I wasn't where I thought I would be financially in our marriage. And we had made decisions and had to sit with the fact that, like, we don't have a savings account, not because of cancer, but because we weren't responsible in that way. And we're not different than anybody else. And here, what are we going to do? And so it was about face of, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to crawl up, on your couch and let everybody help and cry? Or are you going to stand up and figure it out, whether you get a paper route or a skincare company? What's your about face? And so it's really about, it's not a how-to at all about direct sales. Let's remember, absolutely, I have a 6-figure business. I feel very successful in Rodan & Fields. The car has been amazing, but I have so much more to go. I am the everyday girl. Yeah. I still rent my home. Like, let's be clear here. I am, we are going towards things. How-to books have been done by the masters, right? Mm-hmm. We have people in our own company who have written books who I live as like a Bible by them. Mm-hmm. This was more about what led me up to saying, okay, you're going to do it. And then how I remained me during the course of the business, and how it developed me in all of these ways that I didn't know I was craving and needed. And just saying, hey, listen, if you're interested in this, let's talk about it. And if you have all these things and all these fears in your head, it's all about what's in there. Let's talk about developing, the armor and the shield to fight against that. Because that's never going away. If I had the secret for that, I would be selling that,
That is so wise. One of my very favorite words in business is pivot. And, you just kind of described this moment of just a complete pivot, because, one of the things that we talk about in business is our failures or our mistakes. And I feel like everything we go through in our life and in our business is a lesson, not necessarily a failure or a mistake. And, I loved once I had a business coach that really allowed me to see pivot for what I thought it could be, as, okay, I've built this business and all of a sudden it's the monster in the bedroom that, I hadn't necessarily envisioned, and it was time to pivot. And I love that, because I think that as women, we all need permission to say, hey, this is how I got here. I took all of these steps to get here, and here's the lessons I've learned. I don't like where I am anymore, and it's time for me to make a change. And we should all have the freedom to do that, because what we know now is way different than what we knew at 25 when we started our careers, and we're very different people. We've been through different life experiences. So I always love when women business owners that have been to often hell and back give other women business owners the permission to pivot. So I love that.
Absolutely. I describe it in my book as this like cloak of safety, where that is what we can give to each other as women and as business owners. And it can be anything, but it's really getting the permission from a woman you don't even know, from a woman where you're like, wow, I see X, Y, and Z in myself. And because she was brave enough to share her experience, look at all these other people that she's taken the cloak off and said, like, go, you can do it too. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me, where can our listeners find you?
So your listeners can find me. They can find the book About Face on Amazon. So Emily Borja, About Face, and you'll see this little caricature with with my black bob and red lips, and she is much cuter than me, but I can't cross my fingers there. So on Amazon, you can get the book, and then also EmilyAboutFace.org is my website. There's a link to my business and my products, and also a blog that I just started. And so I'm feverishly kind of writing, and that has all things skincare and life and this crazy journey that we're all on. And so that has been super fun. So EmilyAboutFace.org, and also About Face is on Amazon.
Perfect. Well, we'll be linking those in the show notes, but I always like to say that I like to listen to podcasts on the treadmill or in my car. So normally those people don't necessarily have the pen and paper to be able to write it down. So thank you so much for your time. This was great. I look forward to getting to know you more and seeing you around.
Amy, thank you so much. I'm grateful. This has been so much fun. Time flies, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
In today's episode, we talked about masterminds and mentors. So if you would like our free checklist on questions to ask before joining a mastermind, please go to the show notes at lemonadepodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to Turning Lemons into Lemonade, where women go for support and encouragement to hear how other women business owners turn their setbacks into successes to create 6- and 7-figure businesses. We look forward to seeing you next week.